Hi there. I figured I'd do a quick movie review on The Tomorrow War, which just aired on Amazon Prime. It was hyped up for a while and I was reasonably excited to watch it. However, it fell a little bit short of expectations. Let's take a listen. Before we get started, you may have noticed that I only have a handful of subscribers to this channel, only about 3 or 4. And it would very much help if you subscribe to the channel, and if you do, you'll get more biting analysis as well as fun videos where I try to make DIY projects that I am entirely unsuited for because I have no knowledge whatsoever of how to make anything or engineering or anything of the sort. But nevertheless, the videos are funny. Now, let's get on to the review. I watched The Tomorrow War last night, and before the movie, I had mixed feelings. On the one hand, I was excited about any kind of sci-fi movie, alien invasion, that's my favorite type of thing. I like Chris Pratt, I definitely like Yvonne Strahovski ever since her days in Chuck, but I also could tell from the trailer that it was probably going to suck. So, when the movie turned out to be not totally terrible, I was pleasantly surprised. At the same time, after I finished watching the movie, I felt a deep and terrible hollowness in my soul. Now, you might think that that's being a bit hyperbolic, but it's not. You have to provide the audience with a powerful emotional experience. That's what it's all about. And the vast majority of movies these days fail completely to do that. People always say, well, watch the old stuff. Well, I don't want to watch the old stuff. If you're old enough to remember the days of Blockbuster Video and actual video stores, you know as well as I do that when you went to Blockbuster, you always just went straight to the new release section. Oh, let's get Casablanca tonight. Casablanca? I saw it. Yes, of course, I saw it a long time ago. Great classic movie, Humphrey Bogart, you can't go wrong, but I don't want to. No, you want to get the new releases. And for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but you just do. So let's go over the movie itself real fast. Basically, Chris Pratt is your standard happy family man, and no matter what his background is, he's still gonna be a likable guy because he acts like Chris Pratt. He gets drafted to go fight this war in the future against some sort of extremely scary aliens that are, you know, these big monstrous thing that shoot claws out of tentacles, which is pretty crazy. It's like some Japanese anime kind of stuff, I mean, come to real life. It's pretty wild. He ends up working with Yvonne Strahovski, who plays, you know, his daughter who's now grown up, and they work together to find some miracle toxin that's gonna kill all the aliens, etc., etc., and there's action and shooting and all that kind of thing. What really struck me about the movie was after it was done. I found myself in a deeply contemplative mood. Not because the movie was so deep, but because it was so shallow. It was a movie that was so empty that it left me questioning why go on in life. All the stories have already been told. They just keep getting worse and worse. Culture gets worse, people get worse, we're getting stupider, smartphones, dumb people, right? Everybody's lonelier than they've ever been in their entire lives. Social media is anything but social. These things all start to go through your head after you watch The Tomorrow War. It's all empty. It's all like food that has no actual calories in it or something. It doesn't fill you up, like you eat it but you're still hungry. If a movie makes you feel like that unintentionally, that's not good, right? Like if a movie wants to make you feel that way for some artistic reason, then, well, that's different strokes for different folks, I suppose. But a summer blockbuster action flick, sci-fi adventure about an alien invasion. No, it shouldn't make you feel that way. Now, maybe it's just me, right? Could be just me, I don't know. All I'm saying, if a movie is that hollow, that paint by number, that kind of thing, and it makes you feel that way, that's not good. I can't necessarily say, you know, don't watch The Tomorrow War no matter what you do, because there's a good chance you won't feel the same way that I did. You'll think, yeah, it was entertaining. Yeah, whatever, it's fine. But for some of you, you're gonna watch it and you're gonna think, my God, this is it, isn't it? We're at the end. They keep putting out this stuff that's essentially excrement, and they're trying to polish it up and tell you that it's something good, and it's not just as good as what they used to be in the past, but it's not, and you know it. You know it. It's just the movies don't have a soul anymore. They used to have a soul. I don't know how they did it, but something about the process of storytelling or the skill of the writer or the director or the actors, something like that, they used to have a soul. I don't know what it is, but you just connected with the movie more. You found yourself invested in the world in which it took place. You found yourself invested in the characters, and you liked them, and you cared about them, and you wanted, and you wanted them to succeed, or you wanted them to fail if they were a villain. But the point is, you cared and you felt connected to it. But anymore, you don't really feel like that, do you? Right? I know I don't. I mean, maybe some of you do. I don't know. Maybe probably a lot of you don't care. If you look at a movie no different than a roller coaster ride, and it's just, as long as it's got a few explosions and that kind of thing, you're satisfied. I mean, that's fine. But for some of us, at least, who really care about movies, and I've been a huge movie fan my whole life, the death of cinema has been a tough blow. I'm not talking about, is it a deep, profound, philosophical movie? That's not what I'm talking about. Most of my favorite movies are, just big summer action flicks and that kind of thing. But they used to have a center. They used to have some sort of substance in the middle that actually made you care, that actually made you feel connected to the movie. But they don't anymore. They don't. And I gotta say, I mean, usually I try to make these videos funny, but now I'm feeling a little bit more serious. It's been tough. Right? Because, the thing about movies is that there's another YouTuber out there. His name is called The Critical Drinker. He's a Scottish guy who does movie reviews. They're usually very funny. But then once he did a more serious one. It was about sort of the degradation of the superhero genre. And he was like, look, whether we think about it or not, human beings have been at this for a long time. We've been, all the way back to the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Greek gods and all the mythology. We've been telling stories about gods and heroes and demigods and giant adventures and all that stuff. We've been doing that for thousands of years, carving it into stone. And it comes back to us and it survives for millennia, these stories. And that's what our movies are today. Movies are the preeminent form of artistic expression right now, or at least they have been for the past 50 years. And when we create characters, we're still at that game of creating heroes and of creating, larger than life adventures that give us something to aspire to and, move us somewhere deep in our soul. And they provide us with, moral life lessons and all kinds of things like that are important. And they survive the test of time. They live on for hundreds, if not thousands of years past the death of the person who made it. It's a form of immortality for the writer. And it's a way to connect a certain group of people in a culture through their shared mythologies. That's what movies are, whether we like to think of them that way or not, but they are. They're our modern day Greek mythology. There's Zeus and Ares and Apollo and Hercules and Achilles and all of that stuff. That's what they are. And for a long time now, for a good portion of a lot of our lives, it's shallow. It's just for the money. And they don't have a soul anymore. And it's been heartbreaking to see that change in movies, because it wasn't like that for my entire life, only like the second half of my life. And you think, what can we do to fix that? And I don't know. Is it that we lack the skill to make, is that people in general just lack the writing skills or the directing skills that they used to have in previous generations? Is that it? Is it that the Hollywood system that's largely governed by lawyers and money and greed and all kinds of weird stuff? I don't know what the problem is, but whatever it is, it needs to get fixed. It needs to get fixed soon. Not to sound ridiculous, but stories play a very important part of feeding your soul. They do. And I think a lot of us are kind of starving for that right now because we haven't had it for so long. So long. Movies have been driven by ideological concerns, political correctness, and all kinds of, I guess, things that are important in the real world, things that affect the real world, but I guess I wish they wouldn't touch the fantasy world. Because in the world of stories, we can do whatever we want. We can be whoever we want to be. We don't have to let the ugliness of this world, of this real reality, it doesn't have to intrude upon the fantasy world. It doesn't have to. The fantasy world can give us something to aspire to that's better than what we have in this world. But for too long, that just hasn't been the case. For so long, we've been, I don't know, reflecting the ugliness of this reality in our fantasy reality. We got to rekindle that fire, that passion for real stories, for real heroes, for real characters that you can get invested in, that you care about. And movies that once again have a soul. Because without that, they're just nothing. They're just vessels for extracting money out of people. And so we got to fix that. I don't know how to fix it, but we got to. It's important. It's really important. And if we don't fix it soon, I think there's going to be consequences that people can't foresee. You know, I started off this video kind of joking around about the movie, but now I realize that's not the way to go. Because it is serious, it is important, and it does actually make me feel sad. It does. That movies are not what they used to be. I don't know what changed. Culture, or us as a people? Are we stupider? What is it? I don't know. But I guess I would just say that it's important that we fix it. It's really important that we fix it. And we shouldn't wait. Because the Tomorrow War, as decent as it was on a relative scale to a lot of the other stuff that comes out recently, which is far worse than it, it's not enough. In a way, it highlights the disparity, that something's missing. Something is missing, big time, from our culture, from our movies, from our stories, books, TV shows, all of it. Something's missing. And we better get it back. Better get it back. Because if we don't, there's going to be some kind of consequence. There always is. Always some kind of consequence. Something that you could never foresee. But once it comes, it'll be as obvious in hindsight, and people think, my God, how did we miss that? How did we not fix that in time? We should have, we could have seen that ahead of time. We could have seen that coming. Why didn't we? But so seldom do we actually do that. But we better this time. Anyway, that's my review for the Tomorrow War. It ended up getting a little more serious than I thought. But the more I think about the movie, it deserves some serious stuff, because it genuinely did make me feel very empty inside after watching it. And to be honest, quite depressed. And not because of what happened in the movie, not because of what happened to the characters or I was invested. No, it was because of how shallow it was. And despite the fact that I knew it was shallow, I also knew that it was far better than most of the movies that come out. If that's how low the bar is, then we're in big trouble. You know, we're in really big trouble. So I guess that's why I was feeling a bit down after watching the movie, because I realized just how low the bar has gotten. That a movie like that is now what I would consider to be, good. But it's not. It's not good. It's not good enough. Not by a long shot. So I guess I will sign this video off with just saying we got to do something to fix this. Something out there. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a filmmaker, you want to be a filmmaker, I don't know, do something different. Look at what they're making now and say, I'm going to do the opposite of that. I'm going to make movies that actually have a soul. Because we need it. We need it. All right, so that's this review. Now, such a serious review is not typical of what you'll see on my channel. Of course, my channel is usually very comedic, whether it's the times like this where I'm just talking about a subject as I pace around in my garage, or most of my videos are DIY projects where I make fun stuff. Like right now I'm making an electric skateboard and failing miserably at it, but that's why the garage is so covered in junk. But please do subscribe. It really would help. Like the video, share it with your friends, all that kind of stuff. I'd like to build this thing up and actually, you know, get some real viewership. Would be nice. All right, so whatever you can do to help, please do it. And we will see you in the next video.